Growing up in the mid-90s, I played more than my fair share of Game Boy in the backseat of my parents' car on vacation road trips. The good old days back before backlit screens and smartphones. The days when you'd have to wait between streetlights on the highway to see what the hell you're doing and where the hell you were going. Anyway, the Game Boy and Game Boy Color have some amazing games, and they are always in my heart. It's one of my favorite handhelds of my childhood, and their libraries, like I said, are awesome. They have some great games, and today we're going to take a look at some of the rarest and most valuable games for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Starting out with number 10, we have Blaster Master Boy, also known as Bomber King Scenario in Japan. It is an action video game developed by Aincon and published by Sunsoft. The game was released in 1991 for the Game Boy, and it is considered a sequel to Robo Warrior, which is a spin-off of the Bomberman series by Hudson Soft. However, the game was marketed in Western territories as a game in the Blaster Master series, also by Sunsoft. This game used sells for around $40 to $45. Next, we have a very interesting title. It's actually a port of one of my favorite N64 games, Space Station Silicon Valley, and it was released in Europe only on the Game Boy Color in July of 1999. The game follows the same plot as the N64 version with just watered down graphics, and it's not in 3D. The game was actually a cult classic and has a major fan base, myself included, making it harder to find in the Game Boy Color version. Like I said, it's only released in Europe, didn't sell very well compared to the 64 version. Collectors are getting this price around $30 to $35. Hit at number 8 is Dragon Warrior 3, another port of an outstanding console game. The original Dragon Warrior 3 was released in 1998 on the NES and was one of the most popular RPGs on the system. It makes sense that later in 2001, Nintendo would re-release the game onto the Game Boy Color. RPG fans still want to play this game, especially with the convenience of taking it everywhere and having save states. The game sells for around $40 to $45 used. Survival Kids is a Game Boy Color game developed by Konami that was released in 1999. The gameplay revolves around surviving on a deserted island. The game features an open-ended structure that presents the player with multiple ways to progress through the game. This game is considered to be a hidden gem for many. It was even featured on Retro Gamer Magazine's top 10 best Game Boy Color games. Since the game is so good and didn't have very high sales, it is harder to come by these days and will sell for over $35 to $40 regularly. Next at number 6 is Space Marauder for the Game Boy Color, which was originally released on August 28th, 2000 in North America, and is a horizontal scrolling shooter developed and published by Agetec. The game puts the player in the role of an instrument dropped into an alien base that was determined to enslave all of humanity. There are even 3 different power-ups. The game allows you to shoot in 8 directions. The game, however, was met with so-so reviews and relatively low sales, but it's considered by many to be one of the best shooters on the handheld, making it worth over $45 to $50 to modern collectors. Ultima Runes of Virtue 2 is a spin-off of the popular RPG series, and it is a non-canonical action-based and puzzle-solving game. The game's antagonist is called the Black Knight, and the series has a massive following even though it is non-canonical and considered to be one of the funnest games in the whole series. It was also available on the Super Nintendo, but the Game Boy version had a lower sales, making it harder to come by these days. A used copy of this will run you about $50 to $55. Avenging Spirit, also known as Phantasm in Japan, is a 1991 2-player platform arcade game developed by CP Brain and published by Jailco. It was later ported to the Game Boy in December of 1992, and players can possess one of 4 characters with unique abilities at the start of the game. but the library of enemies expands in exchange with each level. Players can attack or possess enemies, collect power-ups, and defeat bosses to advance. The game is sought after by many collectors and will sell for around $50 to $55 for a used copy. Next up is one of the rarest Game Boy games ever made. Amazing Tater is a game developed by Atlus and released in February of 1992. Much like its similarly rare sequel, Spud's Adventure, this game saw extremely low print runs and sold very few copies. Exact numbers are not known, but it is estimated that fewer than 5,000 copies were ever sold. A used copy goes for $150 loose, but the last sold listing for one complete in the box sold for over $2,000. Here on our runner-up spot is Mega Man 5. Mega Man is a wildly popular among Nintendo fans and collectors. Released in 1994, this game came relatively late in the Game Boy's life cycle and can even And finally, our number one rarest and most valuable game goes to Flintstones King Rock Treasure Island. It is a platformer game developed by Taito Corporation and released on the Game Boy. Much like the Taito NES Flintstones at Dinosaur Peak, this game had a small print run and is sought after by collectors. The last sold listing on eBay for a complete copy was around $200. However, a loose cart is considerably cheaper, so if you guys want this game and want to play it, you can find a loose cart for about $45, $50. But that's all we have time for this time, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed and maybe you guys learned something. If you guys could hit that like button, it'd be greatly appreciated. Also, subscribe for more rare game videos and other game videos in your sub box. Speaking of which, make sure to check out the playlist of all my rare game videos. There's also another Game Boy and Game Boy Color rare game video out there. Check that out as well. And if you guys want to go all the way and go the extra mile, make sure you guys check out 101 Facts video on Assassin's Creed that just came out today. These guys make some amazing videos, and this one is no exception. Make sure you link in the description. Make sure you guys check that out as well. Until next time, guys, take it easy. Remember, it's always came back time somewhere, and peace out.